Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli. We fight our country's battles in the air, on land and sea. First to fight for right and freedom, and to keep our honor clean.
Hello, folks, and welcome to another episode of Cigars and Sea Stories. I am your host, Bennett Tanton, and today we are here with Rod Rodriguez. He's a 13-year combat veteran of the United States Army. He served 10 years active duty and is currently spending 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks a year in our glorious Army Reserve. He serves as an intelligence Chief Warrant Officer. Man, kind of went to the dark side, but not quite, right? So he holds a BS in U.S. Intelligence Studies and a Master's of Science in Mental Health Counseling. In addition to his professional accomplishments, he's an avid Jiu-Jitsu practitioner, a fellow podcaster, and a proud father. And I'm going to throw in husband as well. Rod, welcome to Cigars and Sea Stories, brother. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me, buddy.
Yeah, man. So talk to me. Tell me, who is Rod Rodriguez besides that intro that I just gave you? You know, just expand on that and give us the story. You can go back to diapers if you want.
We're jumping in the deep waters right there.
Man.
Who am I? That's a profound question.
It is.
Well, who am I? I'm Rod Rodriguez. I am I'm a podcaster, and this is a title that I'm trying to get comfortable with. You know, you don't normally think of podcasting as a profession.
Right.
I think it's something that you have to want to be a profession. You have to strive and work towards it. I think podcasting is like art. It's like being a painter. It's like being any other type of artist. There are plenty of people who do it as a hobby, who do it just kind of on the side. And then there are people who strive to make it that what they do for a living. And that's what I'm trying to do. So I am a podcaster. I'm an entrepreneur, and I am interested in veterans. That's my big thing. That's my passion is veteran entrepreneurship, veteran sports. I'm so interested in what it is that our community is growing to be, where it's come from, and where it's going.
That's awesome. So your podcast, the AAR Podcast, that's the one that you're doing now.
Yes.
Are you planning on doing more?
Yes.
Or, like expanding, creating a network? Talk to me about that.
So my plan is, so I've gone into podcast production, and I think the best way to get better at something is just to do the hell out of it. So me and a partner of mine, Chris McPhee from Greenberry Media, we teamed up together. He's the video guy. He's got some great video and photography. So we teamed up and said, hey, let's start a podcast company. Let's help companies become podcasters themselves. And we have the skills, we have the knowledge, and we have a great location right here just outside of DC. So we're doing it really well, like helping different companies produce podcasts. And our company's called Clear Commo LLC, and our website is up. It's a basic kind of introduction to what we do and how we can really add a professional spin to audio. I love audio. I really believe audio is my medium. It's how I like to express myself. I love audiobooks. I love podcasts. I love music. I love drama. Everything. The world of audio it's so dynamic because it's happening in your listener's head. It's not happening in your listener's mind. You get to paint that picture that they're seeing. And the smallest thing, to me, it's like a magic show. You know, the smallest fuck up will destroy the whole thing.
Right.
And if you're smart and if you're clever and if you have a little bit of artistic flair, you can make some amazing things happen. I mean, I don't know if you've ever listened to the No Sleep podcast.
Yep, for sure.
One of my favorite podcasts. The way that they can paint a horror picture in your head. It's absolutely fascinating.
Right. Absolutely. Scarier than a movie, man.
It really is. Like I was driving back from Virginia Beach one night with my wife, and she was asleep. And I'm listening, dude. I got so wrapped up in their story that I missed my turns. I was going.
Holy hell.
Yeah, I wasn't even listening to Google telling me, "Hey, Rod, where the fuck are you going? You make a left, make a left, make a left." I was like, "No, dude, I'm listening to this podcast." It was that good, and to me, that's what I strive to do. That's exactly what I strive. I want my listener to forget they're listening to a podcast, and I just want them to hear a story.
Right. So it's like old timey radio, man. Like if it's one of those things, it's a medium that's really the future because in all honesty, I think the biggest reason it is now is because it's portable.
Yes.
Whereas in video, I mean, it's kind of portable, but you're not watching videos while you're driving.
No.
I think really the people that I heard you say something before. I can't remember if it was on your website or like on Facebook or something, like a video you did about the biggest question you get about podcasting, right?
Yes.
And
what is a podcast?
What is a podcast? And I shit you not, I can 100% agree. And as we went over earlier, I've been in this for about 3 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing how many people, because when you're in it, you kind of don't see the forest for the trees, right? You just don't see it. So you assume everybody knows what the freaking hell a podcast is, but it's such an untapped medium, even though there's thousands of podcasts, because the barrier entry is so low. But you know what I'm saying? It's
Absolutely.
like back in the day with radio. It's a re-emerging form of art and just everything that you said prior to this that I think businesses should take heed to and really start either, I don't know, sponsoring podcasts, getting their own podcast out there, whatever it is. Because I think it's kind of, as funny as it sounds, is like, but I'm sure you agree, it's kind of the future.
Well, we've come full circle,
right?
When it comes to audio. We started with audio. We started with you know, I'm going to go kind of deep here for just a brief second, and this is just how I think about audio. We went from the town crier who would go out there and just shout at the crowd, "Hey, this is what's going on." Audio has always been the thing. You know, you heard the message. Before you could read, people were reading or people were telling the story of what was coming down from the government, what the war was like. Then, you know, radio became the thing. And even today, there's still audio. Nobody's just watching videos. You're watching a movie. You're watching this, but you're also listening to that video. You can't just do one without the other.
Right, absolutely. And
that's where
it's not silent movies.
Yeah, no, nobody's doing that. In fact, the silent movie was cool for a minute, but you know what they were still doing? Listening to music, weren't they?
Absolutely.
They were still hearing something with that film. So absolutely, companies need this. And this is something that is the foundation of our company, Clear Commo, is there's an audience out there for your business. So it doesn't matter if you are selling widgets, if you're selling, if you're Sony, or if you're a veteran, single, sole proprietor selling switchblades that you're custom making, hand making in your garage. There's an audience out there who wants to know what you're doing, why you're doing it, and that are interested in that topic. And once you tap into that, it's an expanding resource. It's something that more and more people, there's a great statistic. More people listen to podcasts every weekend than there are people that go to the movies.
Absolutely true.
I mean, that's a phenomenal number. There are tons. That's the thing. There are thousands of podcasts, which means you have a lot of options, you have a lot of choices to make. It also means that everybody's striving for sponsorships. Everybody's striving for listeners and numbers. And here's my thing. I really hate this trend that I'm seeing. And this trend is business for the sake of business. This trend of I'm going to make money for the sake of making money. I'm going to find sponsors for the sake of having sponsors. And it's like, well,
sponsors that have nothing to do with your show.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, the two sponsors that I have for my show, the Seabag Locker Coffee and the Java Can, I know these individuals and I sincerely believe in their products. I have a Java Can. In fact, Dyson Hickle and I have had coffee. We have this is a guy who's passionate about coffee. He's a former Green Beret. We have gone together to some business functions, some business things, and we both walked away looking at each other like, this is not the crowd we want to hang with.
Right, for sure.
This is not our business morals. These are not our business ethics. We are down to earth, grassroots style. We want to keep it that way. And I believe that if you're starting a business, it has to solve a problem. It has to address something. There are so many of these people out there like, oh, you want to make $1,000 a week? Drop ship, man. Just drop shipping. Or, oh my God, if I have to see one more video of a guy with a dry race board,
in
his front room, and he's got a tie on, and he's trying to explain to me how he's making umpteen thousands of dollars a week or a month, and I'm like, then bro, why you sitting in your house with a dry race board?
Right. It's just, and it's like soulless.
Oh, it's soulless. Exactly. It's empty. It doesn't have substance.
Like, Great. You don't, like, how can you really believe in that? I mean, there are guys that do, I'm sure, guys and gals, right? But it's like,
it's gross.
It's gross. Yeah. It's like,
it's sleazy.
Like, all you're kind of doing is just, it's very salesy. It's whatever. And you know what? We all have fallen into the trap. I mean, I've even fallen into the trap of, this, that, and the other thing. Whether it's, multi-level marketing or this and that, and you're just trying to do the right thing by your family and all that. But you have to get to a point where you're like, you got to just be real and authentic. And I think for me, this is the easiest way to do it. This and like Facebook Live, that whole thing where I'm like talking to people, not trying to sell them something. I mean, of course you have to pay your bills, but it's one of those things, like, it should come from that though. So it's got your passion, it's got your blood, your sweat, your tears, not some system that you bought and just decided to regurgitate,
absolutely. And when it comes to paying your bills, the biggest excuse that I hear for these multi-level marketing scams, and I call them scams. I don't care what anybody says. Come at me, bro. You scamming people, not right. You. I mean, like those guys that are out there that
like the potions and lotions.
Yes. And, like, oh, do this, do that. Or, join my club. And if you join this club for this much money, you'll have this or that. Are you kidding me? A pyramid is still a pyramid, even if you're calling it a triangle.
Right.
It's nerve-wracking. And then I hear, well, you got to pay the bills. How else are you going to pay the bills? Okay, here's one for you. You get a job.
Right.
You get a job. How about that? You
get until you don't have to have one.
Exactly. And that's the thing. Don't cut corners with scams. Don't cut corners by buying followers. Don't cut corners by joining clubs that are promising you the world. And really, it's shortcuts. Yes, you might make a couple of $1,000s quickly, but there's a price to pay for that. And I've seen it. I've seen that happen. I'm very proud of having a 9-to-5. And I know in the entrepreneurial world, there's a group of people out there that they look down on you for that. They're like, oh, you have a 9-to-5, then you're not a real entrepreneur. Okay.
Oh, yeah, you need to just jump in, bro.
Yeah, here's the thing. I have a 9-to-5, and I love my job. It's not what I want to do for the rest of my life. I want to do podcasts, but here's the thing. My job pays my bills. My 9-to-5 pays my bills. My 9-to-5 is my startup money. I am my own angel investor. Every bit of equipment that I purchased was from my dime. My sponsors have been more than generous and have, they've paid me to put their message out there. And with that money I've used to advertise and to promote. But what I've never done and what I refuse to do is to buy my listeners, to buy my likes, to buy my followers. That's insane. And it's fake. It's gross.
Yeah.
It happens all the time.
It does, for sure. So moving on to a little bit lighter stuff.
Sorry, I get fired up, man.
No, not at all, man. Deep is where we like to live, right? But just talk to us about your service. I mean, beyond this, what we're talking about. Go back a little bit and tell us about your active duty time and then what you're doing now.
So my active duty time, I started back in 2000, right before, September 11th and all that stuff. I started off in the field artillery as a fire direction guy for the MLRS system, old 13 Papa.
Okay.
And it was funny because I didn't intend to be a 13 Papa. I signed up and I thought I was going to be a 13 Fox,
right,
for an observer.
Yep. That's
yeah.
a
So
couple of those guys, right?
Exactly. So I thought I was going to be a fister. I was really excited, like go out there and, be close range and watch things go boom. I finished up basic training and they put us in this cattle truck and they're dropping people off at all their respective AITs. And they dropped me off and I should have known right there and then that there was a fucking problem because they dropped me off literally after 4 hours in a cattle truck being driven around Fort Sill. They dropped me off across the street from my basic training. I could have walked there. I could have grabbed my shit and just walked there.
Right.
But they kept me in a cattle truck for 4 hours. I get there and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Across the street. This is great. And going through the processing stage and the first day of class, they show me this big ass computer and I'm like, what the fuck? How are we going to carry this in a rucksack? And I'll never forget the instructor, some E6, looks at me and goes, what do you mean? I said, Sergeant, how do you put this in a rucksack? He goes, you don't. This goes in your tracked vehicle. I didn't know 13 Foxes were in tracks. I thought we were with the infantry. And he's like, son, what do you think this is? I said, 13 Fox school? He goes, no, this is 13 Papa school. Oh, no, Sergeant, you got me mixed up. I'm supposed to be with 13 Foxes. Somebody decided that instead of an F, they put a P.
Simple mistake.
Well, a mistake that derailed my life.
Simple mistake.
So they kept saying, oh, we're going to fix you. We're going to fix it. You'll be in 13 Fox next week, 13 Fox next week, 13 Fox next week. And before you know it, I'm graduating.
Jesus.
And I'm like, well, I guess I'm a 13 Papa now.
I guess I am. And I'm riding in a tracked vehicle.
And it turned out to be a pretty decent gig. Did that.
10 years?
Actually, I did that for 4 years. I went to OIF 1. So 9/11 happened. We decided that instead of going to fight in Afghanistan, we were going to provide security for the government housing in Aschaffenburg, Germany.
Nice.
Which was a goddamn nightmare. Let me tell you. You could tell the levels of give a fuck that our command gave and how it decreased, because we went from M16s, live ammunition, locked and loaded. Then they took away the locked and loaded. They were like, just, locked. Then they were like magazines in your pouch with a piece of tape over it with the signature of the SOG. We're taking away the ammo. We're just going to give you a magazine. So it's a show of force now. And then I don't know why this kept going this way. We're going to take away your M16s. So we want you on the streets of Aschaffenburg in housing, no rifle. We're going to give you an axe handle. So
what are you at? Oh my God.
We look like a bunch of like gangsters.
Yeah.
We look like
it's like Gangs of New York, man. Streets in New York. What was that one movie with DiCaprio and the other guy?
Yes, the Gangs of New York.
Daniel Day-Lewis, yeah.
We look like a bunch of schmucks out there in full battle rattle, carrying around essentially billy clubs. Just
Right.
pieces of wood, man.
God. That's crazy.
So we did that for we did that for almost a year. And finally we got our chance to go to fight, and we got out to Iraq. We were the first. That was pretty cool. We were the opening volley. So MLRS went out there, and as the 82nd 3rd ID started rolling up in there, we fired over them and just obliterated,
just tore some shit up.
Just tore up Saddam's forces, cleared the path for the ground pounders to go do, the infantry and all those guys to move through. And then we spent the next year in Iraq picking up ammo.
Nice.
And let me tell you, if there's any
online police call.
Oh God, you're not even kidding. If there's any Task Force Bullet alumni, hit me up. We went out there, and I remember distinctly, we gave up our launchers, and we were, so the rumor is, I don't know, again, I'm remembering this from a specialist private's point of view.
Right, which is always skewed.
At that point, you don't know what the fuck is going on in command, sergeant majors and all that, but this is what you hear is, I heard that we were supposed to come home after about 3 months. After we shot our load, we were supposed to come back, because there's really no mission for the artillery after 4 months. And then we got volunteered by somebody who wanted a full bird. They weren't done with the combat mission. So we got tasked to pick up all the stray ammo that Saddam had left. So at one point, man, this is no bullshit, I'm out there. Again, maybe my life and axe handles are tied together. I don't know. Might have been axe handle or tent pole, but at one point we're in an Iraqi city dump. Okay. In a city dump. And what they did was they had pushed all their ammo. We're talking missiles and small arms and shit like that, and just shoved a bunch of city garbage over it. Trying to hide it.
Just trying to hide it. So when we found it, there's Joe. There's like 100 of us with tent poles and axe handles, pushing away dirty diapers, pushing away syringes, fucking syringes, bro, and pulling up 155 out of the ground that was covered in everything from blood, puke, like literal shit, body parts. There were people in the dump. The whole 9 yards. Pulling this up by hand. That's a smell that you'll never forget.
Months. Like, there were days where I was like, you know what? Maybe I gotta go.
I just need to get out.
Yeah, anything for the love of God. So after that was over, I swore upon the heavens I would never pick up another bit of ammunition ever again. I said, no fucking way. I went out, got my Super Bowl ring for MLRS. We'll never fire that again. I think it's an average of like once every 10 years you fire actual, the big stuff, the grid smashers.
Yeah.
They fire rockets now.
Which is just like brutality, man. Steel rain, literally.
It's beautiful. Oh my God. When that stuff.
It's not even fair.
It's not. A grid square, bro.
Yeah.
We were called grid smashers. I was 127 FA, and it was, you don't realize when you're training what the actual effect is. And then when you see it, you're like, holy shit, this is like no joke. Like we really do smash a grid. That's amazing.
Smash a grid. Right.
Yeah. So went from there to the world of human intelligence, and stayed with that ever since. And I loved it. People have this misconception of what it is, and it's really just talking to people, which is great, because as a podcaster, that's all I do. I just talk to people.
Communicating.
It's communication on a different level, and did that for several years, and now I'm doing some podcasting. I'm doing some contract work, and I also I just signed up to go do. So I was in Texas National Guard. Now I just jumped into the reserve in Pennsylvania, of all fucking places.
Nice, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Where in Pennsylvania are you?
Say again?
Where I call it Pennsylvania, so you'll have
Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Because other than Philly and Pittsburgh, what the hell else is there? It's all freaking barren country.
I
You
have
know what I
no
mean?
idea. I haven't never been to this unit. So I
Oh,
just
Jesus.
literally signed up. They needed people like me. They needed warrant officers. So I said, yeah, let's do it, man. I'm game. And, it's so funny because when I got out of active duty, I said, oh, fuck this. Never again. I'm done. I'm burned out, 10 years
Right.
of, jumping through hoops and whatever. I'm done. I started missing it after 2 years, and I said, well, I got to
I know, man. I know the feeling.
right?
I think it happens to a lot of guys and gals. I don't think they know quite what to do. And what it is you're missing that camaraderie. You're missing that even as much as you freaking hate it and you hate them, it's that people around you, like-hearted, like-minded, that will die for you.
Yeah.
And you don't you don't have that in the civilian world, really.
What I really missed was the professional development, helping young people meet their goals. One of my favorite things to do as a squad leader and when I was acting platoon sergeant uh, was helping young soldiers achieve goals that I wish I had achieved when I was in their position. I used to counsel my guys all the time. I used to, and I still believe that counseling statements are misused. That's not always a negative thing. A counseling statement is designed to be a conversation, a record of a conversation between you and your subordinate. And it can be a positive thing. It could be a point of just awareness. And one of the things I used to do was, as a point of awareness, like, hey, how much TA have you used this year? So in your annual, I would sit down and be like, let's pull up your records. How much TA? Oh, well, Sergeant, I didn't use any TA. Why not? Well, because I don't have time.
I don't have
Okay.
time.
I
Bullshit.
don't have time. Okay, too easy. I want you to sign up for a class, and I'm going to help make you time. I'm going to help you get that time. I want to see you take classes. I want you to succeed on the out. I want you to set yourself up so that when your end of enlistment shows up, when it's your ETS time or when it's time for you to be done, I don't want the Army to be all you have. I want it to be an option for you. And I think that's the biggest thing that these young soldiers and even NCOs, we paint ourselves into a wall to the point where the Army is all that you have.
And officers too.
Absolutely.
I run into folks in my day job, constantly. I mean, I had a guy who retired as a lieutenant colonel. Frankly, had no idea how the civilian world works. I just zero. He's been in the Army for almost 30 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Getting out, and it's kind of sad. I mean, there's all kinds of programs, there's all kinds of help, there's all kinds of things, but that's one of the biggest things that you're talking about right now. That is frankly the key to folks getting out is mentorship. And if you don't have mentors when you get out that have already transitioned, you're gonna fail.
Yeah. And you'll also end up with a force where the leadership feels like they're there because there's nowhere else to go. They're scared to move out. They're scared. They don't know what else is out there. So they end up just like staying in an organization. And who the hell is going to enjoy or make life enjoyable when you don't even want to be there? So if that's the leadership that you're ending up with, well, you've got a problem. And I think that's where a lot of the toxicity that we see in the military force and we all experienced when we were in, I think that's where a lot of it comes from, is that our leadership a lot of the time doesn't want to be there. They don't want to be doing this anymore. And they're projecting a lot of that onto their unit, onto their subordinates. And it just creates this really ugly lifestyle where you don't want to, I think one of the worst things I ever heard was one of my soldiers told me, and this is funny. He told me this, and then I brought it up during the sensing session, and a lot of my younger Joes were like, yeah, I feel that way too. He said, There are mornings when I get up in the morning and I'm driving to PT and I silently wish I get hit by a car.
Right.
He's like,
Yeah.
I wish I would get into a car accident. Nothing that would hurt me too bad, but something that would just get me out of work.
Just knock me out for a while.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, you honestly feel that way? He's like, yeah.
Because they're burnt out.
Yeah. Yeah. They're
Especially
burned
in
out.
this military. I can't even imagine. I got out in 2003. And even then I was burnt out. You know what I mean? And it was just like, holy shit. I can't even imagine guys that have deployed 4 or 5 times, 10, 20. I mean, I know guys that have deployed 20 plus times.
Yeah.
It's madness. Some of the special operations Joes and Marines that have deployed, 15, 16 times, 20 times. It's just madness. Like how you can't keep, and I'm telling you at that point, at those guys, the only reason they're doing it is because if they stop, they're going to shoot themselves. They're going to straight up kill themselves.
And then it becomes a dick measuring contest between these guys that are like, well, I've deployed 30 times. I've deployed this. Okay, well, cool. That doesn't mean that this guy who's deployed 3 times doesn't mean that his flight is any less than yours. I hear it all the time where it's like, well, I'm infantry and, I don't know what his problem is. Well, his problem is that he's 18 years old. He's a supply kid and he didn't understand or he hasn't been trained to experience what you're experiencing. This is the problem. A lot of times is we got, you can't, these are apples and oranges and everyone's like soldier first. Okay. Well, you know what? Show me a transportation company, truck drivers, show me their training schedule and then show me a training schedule from an infantry unit. How often are they both going to the range? How often are they both going to different exercises? How often are they both training? I'm telling you, those truck drivers drive trucks. they're not being trained.
That's their job.
That's what they do. But there's a difference between the way different people experience different things. And I think this is where you get a lot of the mental health issues. And then you've got this bullying that I see in the veteran community, and you see it all the time where it's like snowflake this, pussy that, don't, man up, whatever. It's like, you're not helping. You're not helping these young kids. And everybody wants to talk about, 22, but we kind of help contribute to that 22 sometimes when we see this active bullying within our own community.
Absolutely.
And it's gross. It's disgusting. But, no,
I do. I get it. That's a whole nother episode, man.
Yeah, no kidding. But I mean, that's one of the reasons that I love podcasts right there, because you can talk about those things. You can bring up these issues, and if somebody doesn't like it, well, hey, bruh, unsubscribe.
or just listen to the next episode.
Or listen. Whatever. Yeah, you don't have to agree with me, but you certainly don't have to, go on the attack like I see so many people doing. It's like a weird version of high school Facebook.
Well, that's life, man.
It is life.
Unfortunately, we just talked about this. One of my co-hosts and I on Saturday talked about this in an episode that we recorded there, and we're saying it's just like the corporate world, like everything is just high school. It just changes scenery. That's it. And I frankly, after all said and done, we're a little better than that, or we should be. And what I fall back on always is we just need to be better humans. Is what it comes
100%. 100%. Just be better.
And it doesn't matter if you're a veteran or whatever. Just be a better human. And you know what? And that doesn't mean you're a pussy or some snowflake, because I dare you.
Yep.
Just like you said earlier, come at me, bro.
Yeah, I've got nothing.
We can do whatever you want, whenever you want, wherever you want.
100%. But you know what? Be a good person.
Right. Just be a good person. At the end of the day, we can agree to disagree. We can disagree as much as you want. But, I'm never going to say anything behind your back I wouldn't say to your face.
Yeah.
So it's
It's like I tell my kids. I tell my kids all the time, you don't have to be the smartest person. You don't have to be the most athletic. You don't have to be the smartest. You don't have to be the best at anything if that's not what you're capable of doing.
right.
But one thing that is always in your hands is the ability to be the best person you can be. You can always be polite. You can always be gracious. You can always be forgiving. You can always be merciful. You can always be kind. It's so funny how a simple question like, how is your day? That simple question. You know, I dare people listening to this. The next time you go to the grocery store and you're checking out and that lady grabs your stuff and she's like checking you out, just look at her and be like, how are you today? Watch what happens. People's eyes light up because you might be the first person that whole week who has given the slightest shit about their life. The fact that somebody, even if they just respond, oh, I'm fine, that makes a difference. Saying thank you, saying thank you makes a difference. Holding a door open for somebody makes a difference. And that doesn't mean, like you said, you're a snowflake. That means you're trying to be a good
Just a
person.
freaking human.
But we don't see that too often. Now there's a lot of, I think there's a lot of posturing. I think there's a lot of that going on.
I really pay attention to, especially if I'm in a business setting, to how people treat the help, I guess you could say.
Oh, yeah.
Whether it's if they're in line at getting their coffee in the morning, or the guy that comes and empties their waste bin, do they say thank you to that guy when he does that? You know what I mean? Because that makes a difference. Like that's character. That's what that is. That is you actually giving a shit about everybody. That's leadership. You hear all these guys and gals talk about leadership, especially veterans. I swear to Christ, if I see another leadership consulting company come out of the military,
oh my
I'm gonna
God,
freak out. I mean, I kind of am in one, right? But we've been doing this a while, right? But it's just like everybody and their brother thinks they're either going to be a leadership consultant or whatever, you know. That's great if you have good points, right? If you can actually lead. But it's those small things. It's the human skills that people don't teach that are the differentiators in a human or in a really good leader, you know. I mean, it's like the Simon Sinek thing, leaders eat last. That's not just some bullshit. I mean, it is to an extent, though. Unfortunately, I feel like it is in the military to a lot of these guys, because they might be leaders, but they're not raised as leaders.
It's funny you say that. It's funny you mentioned that book, because I saw that lesson. I learned that lesson firsthand. And I will never forget First Sergeant Thaxter. He was our 127 FA first sergeant. He took us to war, brought us back home. And in the build up to going to Iraq, we were doing some training missions out in the back 40 of Babenhausen, Germany. Shout out Babenhausen. It's closed down, but whatever. I'll never forget. We were doing a training exercise, and all the E4 and below, we're waiting in line for morning chow, and that was the only hot meal of the day. Was he would go out to the DFAC and pick up not thermites. What else is the thing? The termites,
the mermites.
Yeah, the mermites. Thank you. You bring out those stupid mermites, right? And that was the only hot meal of the day. And I remember there was an E5 who got in line, and he got his chow, and he was walking away. First sergeant walks up to him. He goes, "Hey, what are you doing?" And he says, I just got chow, First sergeant." He looks at the line, and there's the rest of us, E4 and below, waiting in line. And he slaps that tray. He slaps that fucking plate right out of that guy's hands. And he points at us, and as loud as we all heard, he goes, "Don't you ever eat before these soldiers eat. You understand? It goes E1, E2, E3, E4, E5, E6, E7, and then me and the commander. That's how it goes. There's a reason we have these numbers, dumbass, so that we take care of them, and then I take care of you, and then I eat whatever's left over. And I will never forget that lesson as long as I live. Leaders eat last.
Yeah. And that is the way. If you can run a business that way, your business will thrive.
And there's no shortcuts to that.
No.
There's no shortcuts. And that's
the truth. Your business will thrive. I mean, obviously there's people that are going to be like, well, when if this and when if that, like they can, parry it to bullshit and try and pair it out. But, it's a simple premise. Leaders eat last. That's why people hate corporations now, because the leaders don't eat last. The leaders eat first.
Oh, yeah.
You have failing businesses that have CEOs that are getting paid $26 million in a year, and the business actually lost money. How much sense does that fucking make?
Well, it's like those people that were complaining about, why is McDonald's raising their minimum wage? I mean, it's not supposed to be a permanent job. And I'm like, have you ever been in a situation where you needed money?
Yeah.
Because I have. When I got out of the Army, I thought instant jobs. I fell into that trap. I thought you got out, you got jobs because, you're a veteran and you got all this experience.
Yeah,
Warrant officer.
Waiting offside base. They're going to throw jobs at you.
Let me tell you something, man. I got out of the Army with a bachelor's degree and I was a warrant. And I thought the world is my oyster. Let me tell you how wrong I was.
Mm-hmm.
I was in Killeen, Texas. I was an intel guy. There's no intel jobs there. I had to relocate to the East Coast. And at the time, I didn't have money to relocate to the East Coast. I was in a conundrum, if you will. I was damned if I do, now damned if I don't have the money to move, but there's jobs for me to make money, but I don't have money to go get those jobs. So right. I thought, okay, contractors, right? Bruh, I got a call from a dude that was like, hey, listen, you're gonna say no, but I'm gonna offer you this anyway. 1 year in Kuwait doing screening. I said, okay, how much is that? $60,000. I'm like, wait a minute, $60,000 in Kuwait for a year? He's like, yes. I'm like, dude, that's a half of what people are offering. Other folks like, yeah, but yeah, jobs are slim right now. And I was like, oh my God. Plus now I got to figure out what am I going to do with my family? How am I going to take care of my kids? I ended up very lucky. Again, being a human guy, I talked to people, I networked, and I was able to find a fantastic job helping out disabled veterans. But I got lucky. And there's no other way around it. I mean, call it what you blessed, luck, whatever. That fell literally in my lap. And had that not happened,
screwed.
Bro, let me tell you how close we were. Let me tell you how close. Let me tell you about my worst year. That year, I ended up jobless, divorced, and not only jobless, but I was also up to my neck in debt because I had just finished my master's program. And to get the next stage of being a counselor, I needed to pay for internship or whatever. So supervision. So I'm stuck.
Yeah, to get your clinical time.
My clinical time, and you got to pay a guy to basically rate you and all that stuff. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me here? So there was a point where I met this wonderful woman, and she was completely on board with my situation. She was filling up water jugs because they were going to shut the water off the next day. She's filling up water jugs, bro. She's like, hey, baby, I got your back. I got your back. We will take care of this.
Ah, shit.
I was like, I'm sitting there like, I'm crying because I'm a man that can't provide for his family. And I can't even get a job at Walmart because they're like, there's no jobs.
Yeah, right.
I don't know what to,
Or you're overqualified.
you're overqualified.
I
Dude, I
love
had to
that.
start. I had to start taking stuff out of my resume. I started lying on my resume. It's like, oh yeah, I've stocked shelves.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done that. Sure.
Sure, I don't have a degree. No.
Yeah, whatever. I tell people all the time, like, it's easy to talk shit, but try begging somebody for a job.
Mhm.
Try that. Try that on for size. Let's see how Billy Badass you are when you literally give your kids your portion of dinner. That's where I was. I was
Yeah,
like,
man.
no, you know what, kids? Here, eat mine. They're like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah. They're like, what are you eating? I'm like, you know what? I got a stomach ache tonight, guys. I got a stomach ache. I'm good. What I would do is I would go run and I would do
Yeah,
jujitsu.
right.
And I was getting stuff for free because people knew the situation I was in. I would do anything else to get the mind off of what I was eating, or I'd just fill up on water. And then this job just fell in my lap, bro. Let me tell you how I got that job. Somebody calls me up and they're like, hey, did you put an application in like 3 months ago? I said, yeah, for this job. Yeah. I didn't think I'd get it. And she says, yeah, your application fell behind our filing cabinet.
Behind.
And we're moving offices. And I found your application and somebody had written callback in red. So I assume that and I looked at your thing and you're qualified. We have a job opening. Are you still interested? And I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
Yes, I am.
How fast can I go? How fast can I get hired? How fast can we do this? She's like, well, and I explained her my situation. I said, is there any way I can get an advance? I know this is unprecedented, but here's my situation. She said, absolutely. I got an advance. I did my 40 hours and I was able to keep the lights on, keep the water going.
That's
Bro,
crazy.
it was,
Yeah, but you know what? That's like karma, man. That's shit. Like that matters. And that's where that being a good human shit comes into. Because if you're not, your lights get shut off. If you're not, that water jugs, you know what I mean? That
zero
it matters,
judgment.
man. It matters.
Zero judgment on my part for the rest of my life. I don't care what situation you're in. If I see you that you need something, I'm that person that's like, well, how much money do I have in my pocket right now?
Right. Yeah.
Let's hook you up.
Pay it forward.
Pay it forward. And I tell my kids, there goes you. But for the grace of whatever God, whatever luck, whatever is out there in the universe, that could be you. That could be you. No matter how much you prepare, no matter how many degrees you have, or what you think your plan is. What do they say about plans when they meet contact, right? Fall to shit.
Always.
And that's life, man. That's life. And
sure.
and here I am. It's so funny because I think back on those, and that wasn't too long ago. That was like 4 or 5 years ago. I look back on me now. I look now and I'm like, I have like the best podcast equipment. I have a beautiful home in Virginia. I have a wonderful job. I have a creek behind my house. I am so lucky, so happy.
Right.
And I'm sucking it up, man, because like I'm enjoying every moment because you just never know when this is going to fall out from underneath you.
True story.
True story, bro.
It is. It's a true story. My story's not that different. I mean, we've got them, you know. So do me a favor and give me the best way for people to find you and check you out and, you know, all that jazz.
Yeah, man. Check out the podcast, www.theaarpodcast.com. I am on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Play Store, wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Just pop in there, the After Action Review podcast. And we are 40 episodes deep. This week, tomorrow, and Thursday, we are talking about hunger. We are talking about hunger. I've got 2 amazing veterans who have got some nonprofits that are feeding. One, Tim White and Stafford Food Security. They're feeding children here in the Stafford area.
Mm-hmm.
1 in 6 children go hungry in this country, bro. 1 in
That's crazy,
6.
right?
That's fucking insane. That's like some third world bullshit. And it's happening in our backyard. And there's a Marine right now who's killing the game right now. He is putting food in backpacks, sending them home with these kids so they can feed their family, believe it or not. Great story from him. And then I've got John Valentine from Operation Phantom Support. out there in Fort Hood, and they're feeding the entire communities of veterans, military folk, civilians. They're just making an incredible impact on their community. Some feel good stuff, man. I like to think of these guys as like the better half of humanity. You know, they're out there and they're just making it happen and doing some amazing things. So again, the AARpodcast.com.
Awesome. We love this stuff. I love what we do, and I love sharing other folks that do the same. So guys, go check out Rod at the AAR Podcast. Awesome stuff. Rod, appreciate you coming on, friend.
Oh, man, I appreciate being on, man. Thank you so much.
So I want to put out some of our sponsors, the HOCOA Home Repair Network. Check that out at HOCOA at 5paragraph.com. 5paragraph.com, the 5-paragraph business plan. Come check us out there. It works if you work it. Combat flip-flops, and when you go there and enter or buy some flip-flops, buy some clothes, buy some shoes, those guys are great. Enter your cigars 20 to get a 20% off on your whole order. Again, cigars 20 at checkout. Go to see veteranslist.us, get 50% off a featured membership when using the discount code CIGARSandC. Spartan Media, veteran owned and operated. Jeremy Knopf over there doing awesome things. And we are proud members of the Heroes Media Group here at Cigars and Sea Stories, a broadcasting platform dedicated to providing a voice for our community heroes and those who support them. Check it out. Check them out at heroesmediagroup.com. Again, Rod, thanks again for coming on. And on that note, we cue the music.